Canada's severed toes, a mystery in the snow. In the bitter cold of the Yukon, where snow covers the land year-round and winter darkness is endless, there is a legend that makes even the most hardy shudder, the legend of severed toes. Not baseless rumors, but real body parts, frozen, bloody, and gone. It is said that someone or something has cut them off, keeping them as trophies. But even stranger, a small bar in the heart of Dawson City openly keeps these toes to serve in cocktails. Is this madness, a sick joke, or a clue to a secret that has never been revealed? Don't let the like button be lonely, don't let the share button wither, and don't let the subscribe button wait for you forever. Chapter 1. The first wave, a shoe, a foot, and 1,000 questions. I thought it was a rotten log, until I realized that the thing sticking out of the shoe was a human toe. The first shoe finder, Jedediah Beach, 2007. A typical summer day in British Columbia. The waves were rustling, the wind was gently blowing through the pine trees along the shore, carrying with it the distinct, salty smell of the ocean. On Jedediah Island, a small island near Vancouver, popular with campers and boaters, everything was peaceful. But that peace only lasted until a woman bent down to pick up a shoe that had washed ashore. At first, she thought it was just trash, but the shoe was heavy, not like plastic or rotten wood. It looked new, a white Adidas with a blue stripe. And, most importantly, it smelled strange. When she turned the shoe over, the world froze for a moment. A human foot, intact, lay inside. No blood, no obvious cuts, just pale, hardened flesh inside the closed shoe. She screamed. Her husband rushed over, saw the scene, and was stunned. Little did they know that their call to the police that day would set off a series of mysterious phenomena that would last for decades, with dozens of other feet being found, each one raising more questions than answers. The geography of death, British Columbia and the mysterious Salish Sea. Canada's west coast is not the sprawling golden beaches we see in movies. Here, the terrain is rugged, dotted with hundreds of islands and islets, densely forested, jagged reefs, and frigid ocean currents. The Salish Sea, which includes Georgia Bay, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and Puget Sound, is a complex body of water where many currents converge. Experts have warned that this area of the ocean can preserve bodies for a long time if they are not eaten by fish or decompose quickly. The water temperature is always cold, and the low salinity makes decomposition slower than in many other places. But even so, it is extremely unusual for a group of feet to wash up on shore without any other body parts, without them. The second wave, a suspicious coincidence. Less than a week after the first discovery, a second shoe, this time a Reebok, was found about 60 kilometers from the first beach. Again, a human foot, still intact, no blood, no obvious signs of cut. The only thing holding the foot together was the shoe itself. Over the following months, as if by some curse, the feet continued to appear. In Richmond, then on Gabriola Island, then the Vancouver coast. Each one was wearing sneakers. The media dubbed the phenomenon the severed feet mystery. Headlines ran wild. Murder on the loose in British Columbia? What's going on in the Salish Sea? Floating feet from hell? With each new discovery, people grew more fearful. Some stopped letting their children play in the ocean. Many claimed to see strange creatures at night. It seemed that a collective fear was spreading, not just from the event, but from the way nature had gone silent. The shoes, the secret keeper. One common thread that caught the attention of investigators was the shoes. Not only were they a means of identifying people, but they were also the reason why the feet could float to shore. Experts say that new sneakers are made of light, airtight materials, capable of floating on water for long periods of time. So, as the body sinks and begins to decompose, the feet, protected by the shoes, detach from the body and are washed ashore by the ocean currents. But that theory doesn't explain everything. If this is normal in nature, why does it only happen in one particular area? And why at this time? It seems like nature is playing a joke, but a creepy and suggestive one. Theory number 1. Missing people from the past. Police have begun to look into the files of missing people missing. They ran DNA tests on the feet, comparing them with archived samples from relatives. Surprisingly, some of the feet belonged to people who had been missing for years. One example was the fifth foot, which was identified as belonging to a man who had been missing since 2004. He had left home in a state of disarray and was believed to have jumped off the Lionsgate Bridge. His body was never found, but 3 years later, his foot was found on Valdez Island. Which raises the question, was this simply a natural consequence of the many suicides and accidents that had occurred nearby? Or was it something more, with only a body part floating? A whisper from the sea. Some of the older fishermen in the area, who have lived their entire lives on the water, are skeptical of the scientific explanation. I've seen people floating. I've recovered bodies, but I've never seen someone with just a foot intact and clean. A captain recounts. They believe there's something wrong with the Salish Sea. There have been hundreds of years of rumors about strange cries at night, figures standing silently offshore in thick fog, and ships disappearing without a trace. Are feet not a sign of death, but a warning? Chapter 2. The Ocean Files. The numbers don't lie. A death may be forgotten, but a foot washed ashore. It's a reminder that the ocean doesn't keep secrets forever. Excerpt from an RCMP investigator's diary, 2009. The data begins to speak. When the third foot was found in February 2008, something changed. It was no longer an isolated incident. It was no longer a coincidence. Authorities were forced to admit this was a systematic chain of events. From there, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, officially opened a special file, Severed Feet Case. By early 2025, a total of 23 feet had been found. Most appeared in coastal areas such as Vancouver Island, Richmond, Gabriola, Valdez, and even on U.S. soil, especially Washington State. The RCMP compiled a statistical table with extremely detailed criteria: shoe type, foot condition, time of discovery, DNA test results, and even meteorological factors to find a connection between weather and the appearance of the feet. But the more they analyzed, the more confusing things became. Calculating probabilities, a creepy game of fate. Dr. Douglas Forbes, a statistician from the University of British Columbia, was invited to participate in the analysis of the records. After examining all the data, he came to a conclusion that made many people's hair stand on end. The probability of more than 20 feet washing up on a particular shoreline in less than 20 years is extremely low, unless there are unusual environmental, current, or human factors. By analyzing the currents of the Salish Sea, the rate at which bodies decompose in cold environments, the frequency of disappearances, and the likelihood that a foot, rather than an entire body, could wash ashore, Forbes determined that the odds of this happening purely by chance are about 0.0008%. So either fate is playing a cruel joke, or someone, or something, is behind the phenomenon. Shoes, a time-defying cocoon. One of the things that makes feet last longer than they should is the type of footwear they wear. Nearly 70% of the feet found were encased in modern sneakers, the kind with lightweight, foam-based soles that naturally float on water. Dr. Gail Anderson, a leading forensic expert at the Vancouver Criminology Center, conducted a series of laboratory experiments. She immersed different types of shoes, leather shoes, hiking shoes, running shoes, in a cold water tank with a temperature similar to the Salish Sea. After several weeks, only the sneakers with EVA or PU foam padding emerged completely and retained their structure. In particular, shoes with high tops tended to keep the remaining foot intact for significantly longer periods of time. So, could it be that these people had died many years ago, and the shoes they were wearing were what saved the feet from dissolving over time? The question is, why were only the feet preserved? Where did the rest of the body, the head, torso, arms go? The gruesome truth of decomposition. The process of human decomposition in seawater is not a subject for the faint of heart. When a body drowns, it will begin to sink to the bottom due to gravity. However, after a few days to a few weeks, the gases produced by bacteria during decomposition will cause the body to float. At that time, the human body is like a giant air balloon. easily broken, vulnerable to attack by scavengers. The ankles and toes are the weakest joints, so if there's a strong current or intervention from scavengers, they will easily separate. The feet, protected by shoes, will be less corroded and thus float and drift to shore. Sounds scientific, but there is still a point that makes experts have a headache. Why are most of the feet separated at a very neat angle? There are no strong tears, no crushing, just a separation as if extracted from the body in a sophisticated way. Testimony from the deep. During a survey of the Salish Sea, a group of volunteer divers made a remarkable discovery. Another pair of shoes, with feet still attached, wedged between rocks on the seabed more than 60 meters deep. Determining the age and type of the shoe was difficult, but experts believe it could have been there for more than 10 years. One diver recalled, "It was very strange. Every time I shine a light on it, it felt like someone was looking back at me. Not from the feet, but from somewhere in the opaque water." Missing persons, the puzzle doesn't fit. The RCMP tried to link the feet to the missing people. But of the 23 feet, only 13 were identified. The rest, completely mismatched to any DNA profile. This raises a chilling possibility. Some of the victims were never reported missing. Or worse, they never existed in the administrative system, as if they were invisible. Flows, the silent carrier. A key factor in this phenomenon is the complex flow structure of the Salish Sea. Here, there's a combination of the Pacific Current, the Fraser River Current, and dozens of smaller eddies between the islands. Strangely, many of the feet appear to have originated in the same offshore area, but have ended up hundreds of kilometers apart, as if an invisible hand were distributing them. It has been suggested that a major storm in 2006 may have dislodged many of the bodies from the seabed, drifting them into the main current. But if that's the case, why does the phenomenon continue to this day? Hypotheses, from logic to thriller, where we begin to delve into the world of speculation, creepy theories, from scientific possibilities to impossible conspiracy theories and even mystical rumors. Each hypothesis is a door opening to another world, making the foot profile one of the most fascinating mysteries of the 21st century. Chapter 3. Hypotheses, from logic to thriller. Every foot is an unanswered question, but it is also a sign that there is something hidden beneath the surface of the water, something we have never dared to face. Excerpt from researcher Michael Randall's 2015 speech at the Canadian Anomaly Conference. 1. The Natural Selection Hypothesis, Death in the Sea. The first hypothesis, and also the most popular hypothesis in the scientific community, is that the victims died from accidents, suicides, or drownings, and the sea itself selected the remains. As mentioned, sneakers help the feet float and wash up on shore. This is a natural consequence of the body's decomposing structure in the Salish sea currents. However, if it was natural, then why did only the feet and no other body parts wash up on the shore? This question has led many to suspect that nature cannot be the complete answer. 2. The organized crime hypothesis, the killer's hand. Very early on, a chilling hypothesis emerged. A serial killer was operating around Vancouver or the west coast of Canada. Not an ordinary killer, but a death artist who only took the feet as a sign. This is made even more terrifying by the fact that some of the feet were found dissected at the same angle, with an uncanny degree of cleanliness, as if by a scalpel or some other extremely precise instrument. In 2011, an anonymous blog on the dark web calling itself The Ferryman posted metaphorical posts describing beach breakups and floating gifts for the finder. The identity of the author has never been verified, but the last post coincided with the discovery of a new foot. Is it coincidence or a killer sending a message? 3. The underworld theory, human trafficking, torture, and warnings. Another theory, supported by some criminologists, is that the feet are the result of a form of torture and body disposal by transnational criminal organizations. Traffickers, especially those on routes from Asia-Pacific to North America, often use brutal methods to punish or deal with those who betray or fail. Cutting off the feet, putting them in shoes, throwing them into the sea. Maybe a way to convey the message, don't betray. The question is, if so, why have the authorities never discovered any such networks, despite attempts to trace them to organized gangs like the Triads, Yakuza, or Mexican cartels? 4. The gateway theory, tunnels to other worlds. Among the most bizarre theories, a group of paranormal scientists in British Columbia once proposed that the feet were the product of an interdimensional gate located under the Salish Sea. According to this theory, the sea area around Galliano Island has a very strange electromagnetic field, similar to the Bermuda Triangle. Some even claim that the feet do not belong to people living on Earth at all, but come from another dimension, and that only the feet are light enough to float between the two worlds. A crazy theory? Maybe, but in a place where the silence of the ocean swallows all evidence, sometimes the craziest theory is the only one left. 5. The bioexperimentation theory, the hand of a secret laboratory? Another perspective, less mentioned, but no less creepy. The feet are the result of a secret biomedical research program, possibly from the military or a private corporation. Why does the feet? Maybe because they were used as samples for experiments on the body's reaction to the marine environment or to test biodegradation technology. And because these samples were defective or useless, they were disposed of by sea. A simple way to cover your tracks. In an anonymous interview, a former security guard at an oceanographic laboratory once exclaimed, "You don't know. There are things that float across the ocean not because of the wind or the waves, but because things that shouldn't exist have been dropped." 6. Supernatural hypothesis, ancient sea curse. At the most mystical level, some ancient indigenous peoples believe that the Salish Sea was cursed. Coast Salish legends tell of a sea spirit that swallowed a part of a victim's soul, usually the foot, which helps people walk and touch the ground. According to them, a severed foot was a sign of redemption or judgment from the ocean for souls that had not yet been released. A chief named Nahele once said in a sea ritual, "When the sea returns a part of the dead, that is not for us to investigate, but for us to listen to." 7. The coincidence hypothesis. Is everything just a coincidence? Finally, there is always a negative hypothesis, that it is all just a lucky coincidence when the sea, with millions of missing bodies, finally brings some body parts to the shore. And the most likely part to float? The feet in sneakers. The only question is, then why is there no similar phenomenon elsewhere in the world? Why is it that only this sea, during this time, keeps bringing mysterious feet to the surface? Chapter 3 ends, but the echoes still resonate. From logical hypotheses to surreal hypotheses, each direction of analysis widens the mysterious pit. And as more feet drift ashore, the answer becomes further and further away. Survivors' tales. Has anyone come back from the dead? This chapter will change the way we think about the mystery of Canada's severed feet. More than just an analysis of the phenomenon, this chapter is a search for the voices of those who have come face to face with the boundary between life and death. Witnesses, the missing, and those who were nearly swallowed by the mysterious Salish Sea itself. Chapter 4. Survivors' Tales. Has anyone come back from the dead? 1. Returning from the dark. The story of Nolan Reese. In September 2006, nearly a year before the first foot was discovered, 24-year-old Nolan Reese disappeared while kayaking solo from Gabriola Island toward Trincomalee Bay. A rescue boat found his kayak, capsized, with no trace of Nolan. The case was classified as possible drowning until 9 years later when Nolan reappeared. He was found in a small town near Oregon with no papers, no clear memories. When he was brought back to Canada, he began to have fragmentary memories. In an interview, Nolan uttered the following chilling words. "I remember hands cold pulling me down. There were voices in the water. They wouldn't let me go, but then they changed their minds." Nolan's mental condition was classified as traumatic delusional disorder. But the strange thing was, his left foot had a surgical scar, right where the line of demarcation usually appears in cases of amputated feet. 2. The woman with the recurring dream. Eliza Grant, a 39-year-old woman living in Delta, British Columbia, had never been missing. But since 2008, she has had a strange recurring dream every night. I see myself floating in water, white sneakers, my feet falling apart. But I don't feel any pain. I see other feet spinning in the water, then a dark figure appears. It has no face. It counts each foot. What's unusual? For 6 years, the dream has occurred the night before a foot was discovered. Eliza was invited to testify in a joint investigation, but her identity was never made public until an independent journalist discovered the file. The results of the psychological assessment? Completely normal. 3. The 49th parallel witness, the fisherman in the box floating on the sea. Gordon Rayleigh, a local fisherman in the Boundary Bay area, recounted an experience he had not spoken about for 10 years. I was pulling my nets, and I saw a small box floating by. It looked like a medical kit. When I pulled it up, I saw a foot, wrapped in a plastic bag, but there was something like a plastic tag attached. Gordon did not call the police. Instead, he threw the box back into the sea for fear of being implicated. The question is, if the feet were naturally amputated, why was there a foot in the box? And who tagged it? 4. The girl who draws dreams, from drawing to reality. At Nanaimo Elementary School in 2013, a 7-year-old girl named Sadie Mallory caught the attention of her teachers when she kept drawing sneakers floating on the water. When asked, Sadie said, "I saw them in my dreams. Someone was calling me from under the water." But they weren't there. What made everyone shudder was the shoe design Sadie drew later matched a shoe design discovered in the 11th foot case, even though the incident happened almost a year later. Sadie was later followed by a psychiatrist who assessed her as having high psychic sensitivity. 5. Cold War memories? A bizarre theory emerged from the account of Otto Steinberg, a former naval engineer who participated in secret U.S. and Canadian projects from 1972 to 1985. Otto said he had worked with a research team on the mechanism of human body decomposition under anomalous magnetic conditions under the sea. According to him, the Salish Sea has been noted as an area with an unstable electromagnetic field, and the experiment was conducted with dismembered human bodies. We used feet because they're easy to control gravity and decompose. But the scary thing is, some of them are not where we keep them. They disappear. 6. Missing people found, but it's not them. In 3 rare cases, the alleged owner of foot has been found to be alive. However, the DNA was a partial match, as if it were a genetic clone. While science has yet to confirm this, geneticists are baffled as to why another genetic sample was found floating around that was a 92% match to a living person. Theories: biological cloning, DNA modification experiments, or something beyond the limits of current science. 7. Memories that can't be erased, and the unanswered question. All the witnesses had one strange thing in common. They all had lost some of their memories. None of them could remember the whole story of their disappearance or of their dreams. But they all shared the same fear. There's something out there. It's watching us. It's leaving a mark, not a trace. You must bear witness. And we are just witnesses lucky to survive. Chapter 4 ends like a recording from a dream. Voices muffled by cold water. Memories as hazy as blurred photographs. But it is these fragments of memory that are the closest clues to finding the true nature of the phenomenon. Beneath the Salish Sea. What's in the dark? Where deep-sea surveys, oceanographic experiments, and deep secrets will reveal more mysteries. This is the chapter where we delve into the depths of the sea, where strange things may be lurking, maybe the cause, or just part of the big puzzle. Chapter 5. Beneath the Salish Sea. What's in the dark? 1. Beneath the Salish Sea, land of mystery. The Salish Sea, which surrounds the Vancouver and Vancouver Island areas, is one of the most complex and mysterious seas in North America. Although not very large in area, the depth and topographical variations on the seabed make it one of the most unexplored places in the world. With more than 400 islands, fjords, and underground currents, this place has long attracted the attention of oceanographers. But strangely, surveys of the seabed in this area have consistently encountered inexplicable anomalies, from unstable signals from machinery to unusual cracks and unidentifiable objects. Although not the deepest part of the sea, the Salish Sea has a suspicious feature. Time and again, detection equipment, including sonar and satellites, have recorded unusual patterns, as if there is something deep below the sea that does not belong to nature. 2. The mysterious survey of 2014, Exploring the Deep. In the summer of 2014, a team of oceanographers at the University of British Columbia conducted a survey of the seabed near Galliano Island, where several feet had previously been discovered. Using modern survey methods, the team hoped to detect geological anomalies, or at least the presence of underground currents, that could explain the disappearance of the missing people and the appearance of the feet. However, the results the team received were confusing. The sonar detected an anomaly on the seabed, about 80 meters below the surface. These signals indicated the presence of man-made structures that were not natural and had very strange shapes. However, after the actual survey, the team could not determine exactly what they were. These signals, while unexplained, have led some researchers to associate them with buried ancient structures or even the remains of a lost civilization. There is something at the bottom of the sea, and maybe that is why we always see strange things floating in the water. Dr. Sylvia Trent, oceanographer. 3. Theories about strange things at the bottom of the sea. After the unexplained signals were recorded, some scientists have come up with theories about the Salish Sea. Ancient man-made structures. Some believe that the seabed may be part of a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis or another undiscovered civilization. If so, it is possible that the feet are a sign of interference from those seas or an ancient warning from the lost civilization. Extraterrestrial objects. A controversial theory suggests that there may be an extraterrestrial object at the bottom of the sea. Strange sonar signals, unusual appearances of objects, and unexplained cracks in the seabed may be evidence of the presence of extraterrestrial beings or technology. This becomes even more intriguing when many of the sightings of floating feet are linked to UFO sightings in the area. Magnetic disturbances. Another theory is that this area of the sea has an unusual magnetic field that causes signals on the seafloor to be disturbed. It could be due to natural or artificial magnetic structures that oceanographic experiments have not yet been able to fully explain. 4. Unreleased images, mysterious objects on the seafloor. After the 2014 survey, some images taken from the seafloor by detection devices began to leak out to the research community. The photos showed a round and flat shape, like a giant disc with very distinct edges. In an interview, Dr. Jonathan Hume, a marine archaeologist at Simon Fraser University, said, "These images cannot be natural objects. If this is a lost civilization, then these traces are very likely the remains of a complex architectural structure." 5. Experiments. What do they see on the seabed? Another research team from the Institute of Atmospheric Sciences in Vancouver conducted an experiment in 2016 using unmanned submersibles to examine the seabed near Galliano Island. During the survey, the team recorded a number of strange phenomena, including strange markings on the seabed and strange acoustic signals. In some cases, their sonar equipment seemed to completely shut down when approaching certain points on the seabed. One of the experts on the team even described the experience as follows: "We felt something, as if there was an invisible force pulling us down." 6. Debris from the past, the buried secret. As surveys of the Salish Sea continued, researchers found some strange metal debris on the seabed, possibly the remains of a man-made object. This has led many to wonder if this is part of a sunken ship, or even a cosmic object that fell into the sea long before the disappearances. Chapter 5 ends, but the question still lingers. What is the Salish Sea? Are the strange objects on the seabed related to the mysterious feet? The more we learn, the more it seems like there is something hidden deep below the water, waiting to be exploited. Strange sounds and warnings from the ocean. This is the chapter where we will explore the unexplained sounds from the bottom of the Salish Sea, an equally mysterious aspect of the mysterious feet phenomenon. These sounds, whether natural or man-made, may be warnings from somewhere deep in the ocean, which we have not yet been able to decipher. Chapter 6. Strange Sounds and Warnings from the Ocean. 1. Mysterious Sounds, a story without words. In the summer of 2001, when the first feet were still in the speculative stage, a strange event occurred that was largely unknown, but was recorded by oceanographic research equipment. A team of oceanographers at the Vancouver Academy of Marine Sciences was conducting an underwater acoustic survey in the Strait of Georgia, an area of deep water and strong currents. One night, while the sonar equipment was working normally, they suddenly recorded a strange sound that they could not explain. The sound was unlike any natural sound the team had ever heard. It was not the sound of waves, nor the sound of a ship's engine. It was a steady series of echoes, like a soft whisper coming from some deep space. One of the team members, Dr. Helen Reed, recalled, "It was like a voice, but it was incomprehensible. It felt like something was calling our name." The team could not determine the source of the sound, and then decided to turn off the survey equipment. But some questions remained unanswered. Why was this sound coming from that area? And who was calling us from under the sea? 2. Searching for the source of the sound. Acoustic analysis. To decipher this strange sound, acoustic experts analyzed data from underwater recording devices. These sounds do not resemble the natural sounds of fish or marine animals. They are low frequency, have a regular rhythm, and have a wave shape that is unlike any other natural sound pattern recorded in the area. Experts have made several hypotheses to explain this sound. Special type of electromagnetic wave. Some studies suggest that the sound may be caused by an unusual electromagnetic layer on the seafloor. These sound waves are not created by physical objects, but are the result of some special physical phenomena, possibly the effects of magnetic rock cores in the ground. Artificial magnetic waves. Another hypothesis suggests that the sound may be a sign of a secret military test in the area. These sounds could be the result of mysterious military equipment or underwater weapons testing, which are often covered up by the government. The strange sounds could be a form of warning from these devices. Biological origin. A less popular theory is that the sounds could be coming from an undiscovered marine species. Some deep-sea creatures may produce similar sounds as a way of communicating or navigating. However, this sound is still very unusual compared to any marine species that have been studied. 3. Strange sound from the seabed. Right when the ninth foot was discovered. In 2013, a ninth foot was discovered on the shore near Nanaimo, not far from where the strange sound was recorded. Interestingly, the night before the ninth foot appeared, an unofficial source said that a group of scientists had recorded a similar sound from the seabed, near where the foot was discovered. In the status reports, the strange sound was described as a distant call. Some members of the research team claimed that there was an uncanny coincidence between the strange sound and the time when the floating feet were discovered. This made many people worried about the connection between the sound and the appearance of the feet. Was this a warning or just a scary coincidence? 4. Other sound phenomena in the area. In the following years, many times oceanographers and fishermen in the Salish Sea recorded strange sounds, like the sound of a ship engine or deep sighs from the bottom of the sea. These sounds, although not as strong and clear as the first time, were still enough to cause confusion and curiosity for those who had the opportunity to hear them. In 2015, a local fisherman reported hearing strange noises from the seabed, like regular tapping sounds, echoing from the depths. Unlike the sounds of ships or marine animals, these tapping sounds had a regular rhythm, as if something was calling from the bottom of the sea, and strangely, it happened right before another foot was discovered on the shore. 5. Theories about the Salish Sea sounds. A warning not to be ignored? Since these strange sounds were recorded, scientists and even paranormal researchers have their several theories about the connection between them and the severed feet. A warning from a lost civilization. Some people believe that the sound is an ancient warning, a sign from a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis or another civilization under the ocean. The sound may be a way to call attention, or a warning of the return of ancient forces. A connection to military experiments or alien technology. Some theories suggest that the sound may be experimental military technology or even a sign of alien technology operating in the Salish Sea area. It may be a signal from modern equipment or even a form of communication from alien beings. Unexplained natural phenomenon. Some have suggested that the sounds may simply be a natural phenomenon involving the undersea electromagnetic field, causing mysterious acoustic disturbances as a strange interaction between sound waves and the physics of the Salish Sea. Chapter 6 ends with a big, unanswered question. Are these strange sounds a sign of something larger? Could they be a warning from the past, a signal from the ocean floor, or simply a coincidence? Strange objects at the bottom of the sea, traces of a great mystery. This is the chapter where we will delve into the strange discoveries from the bottom of the Salish Sea, strange objects that researchers have found during surveys. These objects are not just traces of natural phenomena, but may be part of a larger story that we cannot fully understand. Chapter 7. Strange objects at the bottom of the sea, traces of a great mystery. 1. Strange findings, unexplained objects. In 2016, a research team from the National Institute of Oceanography conducted a survey of the seabed near Galiano Island, where the mysterious foot discoveries occurred. While surveying with unmanned submersibles, the team recorded a number of strange objects at the bottom of the sea, shapes and structures that no one could explain by natural phenomena. One of the most notable objects is a circular structure, about 10 meters in diameter, discovered at a depth of 75 meters below sea level. The structure has a smooth surface, unlike any marine life, and has precise cuts, seemingly created by the hands of a lost civilization. Scientists have tried to guess what it could be, but there is no clear explanation. The hypotheses put forward include a natural rock. However, careful analysis has shown that the object is not a natural rock, as its surface is very smooth and has precise cuts that cannot be found in nature. A man-made structure. Another hypothesis is that the object could be a remnant of an ancient architectural work, possibly belonging to a long-lost civilization. An alien object. Some have linked the object to extraterrestrial technology, suggesting that it could be a signal from undiscovered creatures. 2. Strange structures on the seafloor. Unexplained signals. Shortly after the discovery of the strange structure on the seafloor, a new survey was conducted by a team of researchers from the National Institute for Space Research. The goal of this survey was to search for unexplained signals from the seafloor, specifically acoustic and magnetic signals that could be related to strange objects. During the survey, the team recorded a series of strong electromagnetic signals emanating from the area where the circular structure was discovered. These signals were extremely low frequency, long-lasting, and had a regular rhythm, similar to the alien signals that scientists have studied in projects such as SETI. However, none of the team's equipment could explain the source of the signal. The signals could not have come from any natural objects on the seabed, leading many to suspect that it could be a communication from an extraterrestrial source, or even a warning from a lost civilization. 3. Other strange objects, unidentified debris. In addition to the circular structure, the team also discovered a number of other strange objects during the survey. Some of the unidentified metal fragments looked quite similar to the hull of a ship or machine parts. One of the most notable fragments was a shiny piece of metal shaped like a cone, with very sharp cuts on the edges. Metallurgists have confirmed that the metal is not part of any modern ship or machine, but could be a man-made object from a very ancient civilization, or even from a completely different technology. One theory that has emerged is that these objects could be related to an extraterrestrial force, or could be traces of a civilization buried at the bottom of the Salish Sea. 4. The connection between underwater objects and mysterious feet. There is a strange connection between objects discovered at the bottom of the sea and the appearance of mysterious feet on nearby beaches. Some researchers believe that these objects could be a clue to the solution to the mystery of the missing feet. One theory is that the washed-up feet could be a sign of an invasion or intervention from another civilization, perhaps a group of people from a lost civilization, or even a group of extraterrestrials. Many believe that these strange objects could be part of a signal or an experiment left behind by these civilizations. Some even suggest that they are tools for communication or part of a more complex system that we have yet to decipher. 5. Theories about objects at the bottom of the sea. Alien technology. One of the most controversial theories is that these objects could be evidence of the presence of alien technology. Electromagnetic signals and strange structures at the bottom of the sea could be signs of an alien civilization that visited Earth long ago. Lost civilization. Another theory is that the objects could be the remains of a lost civilization. This has led some to think of civilizations like Atlantis, or even an ancient civilization that originated in the Americas. Secret military experiments. Some have also suggested that the objects could be the result of military experiments that were not made public. These experiments could involve new weapons technology or be part of underwater testing conducted by nations. 6. Strange objects and warnings from the ocean. The discovery of strange objects at the bottom of the sea has only added to the curiosity and concern about the mystery of the Salish Sea. Could these objects be a sign of something bigger, a warning from an ancient civilization, or even from extraterrestrial beings? Perhaps these objects are sending a message. Strange signals, mysterious structures, all of them could be warnings of an unsolved mystery, or something we are not yet ready to face. Chapter 7 ends with many open questions about the origin and purpose of strange objects on the seafloor. These tracks are not only clues to the story of the mysterious feet, but also signs of a larger mystery, perhaps hidden in the ocean, waiting to be solved one day. Strange incidents and unexplained disappearances. This is the chapter where we will delve into the mysterious disappearances involving severed feet and strange occurrences that occurred in the area, stories of people who disappeared without leaving any trace, making people even more curious and skeptical about the truth behind these events. Chapter 8. Strange incidents and unexplained disappearances. 1. The incident in 2007, the disappearance of the Miller family. In 2007, a strange incident raised unanswered questions. The Miller family, consisting of 4 members, decided to travel through Pender Island and the Gulf Islands in the Salish Sea. They went sailing on a beautiful day to enjoy the wild beauty of this area, but no one expected that it would be their last trip. After the Millers failed to return as planned, a 3-day search was launched, but no sign of them was found. People in the area claimed that they had not heard any strange noises that night, and there was no sign of an attack or accident. However, strangely, during the entire search, only one trace was found: a severed foot lying on the beach near the island, about a kilometer from where the Millers had last been seen. The foot did not match any other disappearances in the area and was not similar to any other foot that had been found before. The mutilations on the foot appeared to have been made deliberately, rather than by accident. Police and authorities were unable to explain the connection between the severed foot and the Millers' disappearance. There were no signs of violence, but no one could explain why the Miller family had disappeared so mysteriously and why a foot had appeared on the beach without its owner. 2. The disappearance of diver Josh Patterson. Strange traces underwater. Another disappearance that occurred in the Salish Sea in 2012 involved a professional diver named Josh Patterson. Patterson had gone diving with a group of other divers to study and survey the structures on the seabed near Vancouver Island, where strange objects had been discovered before. After the group returned to the surface, they realized that Patterson had not returned. After hours of searching underwater, the rescue team discovered something strange. They found a pair of diving boots floating on the surface, but there was no trace of Patterson. What was even stranger was that the boots showed no signs of being torn or damaged, and were still intact. After continuing to search the area, divers discovered a strange mark on the seabed, a long, sharp cut, as if something had cut through the seabed, of unknown origin. These cuts did not resemble the natural tear marks that a ship or large object might make. They were more like sharp knife marks through rock, and no one knew who or what had made them. Despite a massive search by investigators, Patterson was never found. And strangely, there is no trace of him, not even on nearby beaches. The only trace recorded was a cut on the seabed that no one could explain. Some people have linked this disappearance to other strange objects on the seabed that have been discovered before, especially strange signals and underwater structures that scientists have studied. 3. Lost in the Dark, the story of Amy and Mark Harris. One night in November 2014, Amy and Mark Harris, a couple on vacation, went to the beach near Galliano Island to enjoy the beauty of the ocean at night. They decided to camp on the beach, but when the next morning came, there was only an abandoned tent, no trace of them. While this is not uncommon in remote areas, it is strange that there was no sign that they had left voluntarily. The only traces found were cut-in-half sandal and unclaimed foot nearby. Investigators were unable to explain why the foot had appeared nearby, or why neither Amy nor Mark had any traces. Despite weeks of searching, the two were never found. Only the sandal and the foot remain, and no one knows who they belong to or how they got there. The big question remains, is the foot just a trace of a strange event that no one can explain, or is it just a terrible coincidence? For disappearances of fishermen and rumors. Over the years, a number of fishermen and hunters near the Salish Sea have mysteriously disappeared. One of the most notable disappearances was in 2016, when a group of fishermen went out to sea to fish. After they failed to return as expected, a search was launched. 2. But only found an empty boat, along with some belongings abandoned for no reason. Strangely, among the belongings found, there was a pair of cut-in-half shoes and an unidentified foot lying under a large rock. At this time, people in the area began to talk about a strange phenomenon. Many people believe that this was not a normal disappearance, but an event related to something that humans could not understand. Many hypotheses have been put forward to explain the disappearance of the group of fishermen, from the possibility that they were abducted by an alien force, to the possibility that they encountered some supernatural phenomenon. 5. Unanswered questions. Is there a hidden truth? With all the strange disappearances and ownerless feet, many questions have been raised that have not yet been answered. Could these feet be a clue to a great mystery, a trace of an incomprehensible force or event? Some are beginning to believe that these disappearances are not coincidences, but may be part of a larger story, perhaps involving the disappearance of an ancient civilization or even an alien invasion that we do not yet know about. Chapter 8 ends with many unanswered questions about the strange disappearances and the presence of feet of unknown origin. Each disappearance has its own mystery, but they all have one thing in common. They have no reasonable explanation, making the story all the more mysterious and confusing. Supernatural phenomena and strange traces. This is the chapter where we will delve into events that cannot be explained by science, strange phenomena and traces that humans cannot explain. Stories of supernatural phenomena, mysterious traces that have not been solved, create a hazy picture of mysteries that we will never fully understand. Chapter 9. Supernatural phenomena and strange traces. 1. Strange light phenomena in the Salish sky. One of the most shocking phenomena in the Salish Sea area is the strange lights that appear in the sky on moonless nights. Witnesses describe these lights as bright flashes of lightning, but they are not normal natural phenomena. They do not resemble shooting stars. They do not resemble any atmospheric phenomenon that astronomers have ever recorded. One of the most notable stories was one night in June 2015 when Richard Hayes, a local fisherman, and his group of friends were fishing off the coast of Galliano Island. While they were resting, a strange blue light suddenly appeared in the sky, lasted for a few seconds, and then suddenly disappeared. Everyone in the group was stunned by this phenomenon, and no one could explain its origin. After that, many other people also reported similar light phenomena in the sky near other areas of the Gulf Islands. These lights appeared on moonless nights and could last from a few seconds to a few minutes, forming strange and inexplicable shapes. Scientists have conducted research, but have not been able to come up with a satisfactory explanation. Some hypotheses suggest that these could be signals from the universe or special atmospheric phenomena that have not been recorded. 2. Strange sound from under the sea. Unexplainable sounds. Apart from strange lights in the sky, one of the most terrifying phenomena is strange sounds from under the sea. In 2017, during an underwater survey near Vancouver Island, a group of researchers recorded a series of strange sounds, like moans and eerie noises coming from the bottom of the sea. The sound lasted for about 10 minutes, with a constantly changing tone and very low frequencies. After analyzing the sound, experts concluded that this was not the sound of ordinary sea creatures, nor of ships or any natural phenomenon. Although many people thought that this sound could come from metal deposits on the seabed, analysis showed that the sound did not come from any underwater objects. Another hypothesis is that this sound could be an alien signal, a form of communication that we do not yet understand. Some suspect that they could be signals from a lost civilization or even signs of an alien invasion. 3. Ghosts and paranormal phenomena near Galiano. One of the most mysterious stories about the supernatural in the Salish region is the story of ghosts and strange phenomena occurring near Galiano Island. Over the years, witnesses have reported terrifying experiences where they encountered shadowy figures, sometimes humanoid figures, or unusual locations appearing in the misty fog. One of the most famous stories is that of Maria Thompson, a tourist who visited Galiano in 2018. She recounted that one afternoon, while walking on the beach near the Galiano lighthouse, she saw a shadowy figure standing not far away. When she got closer, the figure immediately disappeared. She couldn't explain the phenomenon, but the strange thing was that later she heard about ghosts in this area, the souls of people who had gone missing before. In addition, some fishermen also reported seeing shadows moving on the water, whether they were human or other creatures. Some even claimed that they saw ghosts of missing fishermen appear late at night, walking on the water without getting wet, before disappearing into the murky space of the ocean. 4. Strange tracks, mysterious images on rocks. Another phenomenon that has attracted attention is the strange tracks found on rocks near the Salish coast. In 2020, an expedition team found a series of strange drawings carved on the rocks, some of which resembled footprints or images of mystical creatures. The drawings did not resemble any known ancient language, prompting experts to use modern technology to analyze them. The results suggested that the drawings could be an